Hello, America. Tonight is a really weird show. Tonight is an end of an era and the beginning of a new one. It's been 14 years since I said to my staff in New York, maybe 15 years, I think we should tell cable news to pound sand and let's go do the internet thing. And nobody was doing the internet thing. Nobody was doing that. Nobody had created a network before. No one was in it. Podcasts were for, people you'd never heard of at the time. And Netflix was still sending movies in the mail. That's how long ago it was. And nobody believed me that I was going to do it. And everyone said it was insane. And here we are all these years later, mission accomplished. My goal was to show people in the media that all had to toe the line. You don't have to toe the line. You can do your own thing. And you can do television on the web. And I remember when we first started, our biggest complaint was buffering. If you were with us on those days, you remember. It was like, and let me show you something else on the chalkboard. And then it would buffer for a while. So we've come a long way. Tonight's the last show of the Wednesday night special. Starting on January 5th, I am shifting my focus. I'm not good at standing in place. And I feel like I've accomplished my goal at the Blaze. And so I've had this real tug in me for a couple of years on history, education, and doing a different kind of show for you. And so my next goal really revolves around telling the educational complex to go pound sand and showing teachers, you don't have to teach that crap. Showing parents, you don't have to go to those schools. You don't have to do that. There's so much I want to show you. There's so much that we're going to build here. And on January 5th, we're going to show you about that much. It's a little more complex, a little more expensive than the Blaze was to do. But it's just as crazy. But this means that this is the last episode of Glenn TV. Now, I want to clarify, I'm not going anywhere, doing my radio program. In fact, we're experimenting with something on the radio program. Right before the mics went on and the television camera started to roll here, I just said to Ricky, our executive producer, I think we're going to completely reinvent what the radio podcast is. It'll change forever. And I'm so excited for you to see what we've been working on. I'll also be doing the Glenn Beck Podcast, but that is also changing. I'll only be doing 20 episodes with guests. But I think we used to do, Ricky, what was it? 35 episodes, something like that a year, 36. And I think we're doing 48 episodes. Yeah, I know I'm doing 20 podcast episodes, but I'm doing 20 episodes of something else. And I think 10 episodes or something else. There's a lot of 50 episodes. So you're getting a lot more, but they're going to be very different. And I really think you're going to like them. One of them was, we'll tell you in January. Anyway. But as far as this program goes, it's been a really good run, and I want to thank you for watching all of these years. I'm going to take you back to a time and show you how far we've come. And my staff chose a bunch of clips. They didn't tell me what they chose. They said, we're just going to choose our favorite episodes. And they have told me, you can say this right before some of these episodes. So I kind of know what they are, but I don't. Here's what happened, I think. This is going to be oh my gosh, look how fat Glenn is. Look how skinny Glenn is. Look at his hair. Okay. That's what this is. I know my producers. That's how they pick these clips. But I did have 2 requests and you're going to see those. Now we are reviewing everything chronologically. So the second one will come a little later, but I want to start at the very, very beginning. It was August 2011. Not only did I want to start a network online, something again that nobody had ever done. We had to partner with Major League Baseball because they were the only ones doing anything like it. But I said, let's do that and let's kick it off in a foreign country in a country where none of us speak the language and hire a bunch of people we don't know and do a big, huge thing we've never done before and have that the first broadcast. Huh? It's a little ambitious, but we did it. I asked you at the very beginning, day number 1 of the Blaze, to join me in Israel to start a new kind of revolution. Watch.
I asked you to join me here so I could propose a new path. A path led by you. A path led by the individual. Linked arm in arm all over the globe with other like-minded individuals. A path where governments and so-called human rights organizations get out of the way and allow people to come together as individuals to solve their problems and worship God. Some will ask, and they'll mean it. They'll be sincere. They'll say, that's a great thing, that's great, but maybe we should leave that work up to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Maybe we should just leave that work up to the well-connected or somebody. There's got to be people who have a better education. How about the well-heeled or the politician, the political leaders? Hey, let's just listen to the media and allow the media to tell us the truth. I ask you, whom do you trust to do this sacred work? Who will protect your rights better? A king, a president, or you? Who will protect the truth? A reporter, a producer, or you? Who will protect your children and teach them to seek the truth? A textbook committee, an educational bureaucrat, or you?
Unbelievable. How I haven't looked back at that speech in a while. But the last time I did, I thought, oh my gosh, that speech was written for today. And look at what I was saying back in 2011. Do you trust the experts or you? Just think about what we went through with COVID. Next up, a clip from 2012 that shows just how much has changed and how much has stayed exactly the same. Besides that, I've been told that this is about Nicolas Cage and the Fed, which I cannot, in my mind, I can't make the connection, but at one point I did, so this should be fun.
The Fed is talking about even more quantitative easing, QE3. That means printing more money. The theory that they have is they're going to print more money and inject it into the economy because the economy is like, gah. What they're doing now reminds me of Nicolas Cage in The Rock. I love this movie. This is a great movie. Remember this point where he's like, I gotta, and he injects this thing into him, and that's pretty much the economy. Now, in this movie, he gets up off the floor, okay?
See, this is where trusting the experts has gotten us. 13 years later, we're still printing money and Nicolas Cage movies like crazy. And neither of them have gotten any better. I'm just saying. We are, the Fed, it disagrees with itself for the first time. Yeah, you know why? They just took out, what was it, $2.4 trillion. They sucked that out of the economy so we wouldn't have the inflation. They still have probably another, $6 trillion to suck out. But they took $2.4 trillion out and went to the banks. That's why you can't afford things. That's why nobody has any money. That's why there's a liquidity problem in the banks. So they've decided, we got to put some of that back. So they're doing QE again. And some of the Fed, they're saying, we can't do that. That'll lead to high inflation. And the others are like, well, but if we don't do that, then we'll have, depression-like. We could have a collapse in prices and people won't have jobs. Really? You think? This is exactly what I've told you for years. We would get to a point to where there would be no good answer. That's why next year I'm really going to lay out for you what the world looks like and what to be prepared for, because we are on the verge of colossal change, unlike anything you've ever seen. Now, we've also had, over the years on this time together, is the time to make some amazing specials and series over the years. Back in 2015, we did a series called The Root, The Armies of Armageddon. Now, I've been warned that this hits a little differently watching it from this side of history, but watch.
2014, the map as we knew it changed. Two major conflicts within just a few months of each other that triggered the change. First, February 27th, Russia began a ground invasion in Crimea. Not long after, they invaded eastern Ukraine. June 28th, ISIS declared a new caliph, and they stood triumphantly at the border of Syria and Iraq and claimed they had erased it. These two conflicts, Russia's quest to reclaim the Third Roman Empire and the radical Islamist fight to establish the caliphate, have the capability to set off World War III. The world hasn't seen a rise like this since the 1930s, and the similarities are striking. And our failure to correctly identify these movements and their motivations will have cataclysmic results.
I don't even know who that guy is. I mean, he's pretty handsome, isn't he? I'm sorry, was he saying something? I mean, I was just like, wow, look at him. He looked so young and youthful. Safe to say, what that guy was talking about is exactly what happened. Exactly. Cataclysmic results. Well, I don't know. Russia and Ukraine are still at war, and all of the refugees from ISIS have now taken over Europe. World War III, if you don't think we're in World War III, you're not paying attention. Wake up, Western world. We're in it right now against those exact same Islamists. All right, back with more in a minute. First, let me tell you about Jase Medical. You don't prepare because you're afraid, of life. You're prepared so you can live it out without constant fear. And there are moments in life where good enough isn't good enough. You need real equipment that works when everything else goes sideways. That's why I love what Jase is doing with their new Stop the Bleed kit, the Jase Trauma Pack. They have 3 levels of trauma gear. One's like, who's got a boo-boo? One is like, wait a minute, you got a snake bite? What? And the third one is like, who's got a giant hole in their chest? Okay. They all work together. They don't repeat. You can just have whichever level you want. I like to have all 3 because, I'm out in the mountains sometimes, and it's like, you could have a hole in your chest. I don't know how, but if I don't have it, then it definitely will happen. Jase is even hosting a giveaway this week for all 3 packs. They're not just selling this stuff. They want your family to have it. It is really good. High quality. I saw this about, 8 months ago when they were researching it and putting it together for the first time. And wait till you see what they have coming. It's really good. You don't have to worry, about any of it. You've got everything that you need. Jase.com. Enter the promo code BECK at checkout for your discount on your order. That's promo code BECK at JASE.com. So over the years, we have exposed the truth about all sorts of people. Obama, Biden, Soros, and appropriately for this time of year, Santa. Because the holly jolly St. Nicholas that we know today wasn't always like that. Watch this episode.
The story goes, Nicholas was an elderly bishop at this point, and 3 boys were sent by their father to visit St. Nicholas for a blessing. But on the way, this sounds like, we're going to find the witch in the candy house in the middle of the woods, putting the kids in the oven. But on the way to visit St. Nicholas, they stayed overnight at an inn, and the innkeeper stole their money, then took the boys and then cut them up and put them in like big stewing pots down in the basement. After cutting them up, he put them in salt tubs, keep the meat from going bad, and was going to make the boys into little meat pies. Who's ready for Christmas yet? Right? Ooh, I feel all warm and cozy. If I could have some hot chocolate, I'm ready to hear more Santa stories. So then Santa comes, St. Nicholas, and he's looking for these boys. And he stops, and he's going to order some breakfast. And guess what's on the menu? Meat pies. Somehow or another, Nicholas figures out this crime. He's like, oh, and one more thing, the boys. He figures it out, and he goes down into the basement, and he finds the boys all cut up. But you will see old engravings of St. Nicholas standing there as the bishop, like this, and the boys are rising out of the meat pie containers. Now, here's why I say this is a crazy story. Remember, he's a good guy, but unless you cross him, then he gets the whip. What's the end of this story? He forgives the innkeeper and tells him, don't do that again. And in fact, blesses the innkeeper in saying, oh, by the way, your barren wife, she's gonna have a baby, and it's gonna be a baby boy. So maybe you can make your own meat pie children. I don't know, where's the whip?
Is Pam Bondi actually St. Nicholas? I suddenly understand what's happening in Washington. Pam Bondi is Santa. That is a clip from my history series, His Story. And we did, I think, one season of that. And it has been very, very popular. Hadn't been seen in years, but it is one of those things that we did, and we are constantly hearing about it. We're bringing it back. You will see the history series. You'll see at the end of the show. We're bringing it back for Torch. And I think we launched with 10 episodes. I'm not sure. we have plans to launch with a lot of stuff. We're 2 weeks away. Let's see what actually hits. But I think we have 10 episodes, and we'll be making new episodes of just a lot of great stuff. All right. We also spread the truth about some things that are much less festive than cutting up boys into meat pies, apparently. But they're still red, and one of the things that is very red that we've exposed over and over again is socialism. Watch.
I am not saying that they are using this, but it is the blueprint to fundamentally and legally transform a country to socialism, authoritarianism. And it was written way back in the early 1950s by the architects of a peaceful revolution. From a free market to a dictatorship in 3 years without a single shot being fired. It's pretty incredible. And this plays a role. And let me go over this. Anarchist, Islamist, communist, and socialism work together against Israel. Are they doing that? Yes. Work together against capitalism. Yes. Work together to overthrow stability. Well, the big thing was people said that Islamists and communists and socialists would never work together. Well, they are. And we're seeing even Chris Cuomo last night on CNN said, there's some really good things about Antifa. Really? They said that Islamists and socialists would never work together. But as you see, we're seeing that right now.
It's amazing when we get things right. When I get things wrong, it's my fault, and we get them really wrong. When we get them right, it's usually because of him. And it's amazing how right we have been. By the way, the producer who chose that clip wanted me to know, I want you to know, Glenn, that was the first time he ever ran a teleprompter for me. You have no idea what it's like to run a teleprompter for me because, I've been on, when I was at Fox, the teleprompter would be going with the script back and forth. They're like, I don't know where he is. Because I use it sometimes and don't use it sometimes. And it's very difficult. I can't believe I guess that's how we do things. We just throw people into the fire here. And, you did fine. Okay, one more before we break. This was my special request. because I think this is going to come in handy again. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard that Ilhan Omar may have married her brother to get him into the United States. May. The man in question is Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi. This is who Omar married in a Christian ceremony, despite them both being Muslim. Oh, and it only gets weirder from there. Now, Omar insists, that's not her brother. That's not my brother. But if that's true, why did they live together in the same house as Omar's ex-husband? That's weird, right? And again, it gets weirder from there. We did a whole chalkboard on this back in 2019 to make it easier to understand. We also did this. Watch.
My first thought was, I know, we can explain this with the 70s sitcom Three's Company.
Come and knock if you dare.
Come and knock if you dare.
Nothing weird here at all.
Nothing weird here at all.
Only marriage for him and her and him. Three's Company also. Come and sleep on our floor.
Come and sleep on our floor.
'Cause you might be my bro.
'Cause you might be my bro.
We'll get hitched just for our tuition break. Three's Company also. Marriage is so much fun again. Now it's done again with you. Down at NDSU.
Down at NDSU.
Three's Company also.
Yeah, couldn't be Three's Company too, because we are riddled with lawyers on this program. And we spent almost $25 on that. So the three of them, it's like Three's Company also. So they're here, and then they go to college, and then in 2011, they graduate. Now, here's what's so sad about this. The same year they graduate, she separates from Elmi. It's another sad, well, these are tough years, college years. Who knows what they were doing? Because they're not Muslim, they were Christians. So they were probably partying like crazy in college, and that put a lot of strain, so they had to separate. So they separate at the same time they graduate from NDSU. But here's what's crazy. Just a month later, she falls in love again with Hersey. Now, I'm not sure if Elmi is also living with Hersey in the love shack. I don't know. We don't know where he goes. We just know they separated, but that doesn't mean he's not living there anymore. Again, we don't know. So a month after she separates, not divorces, separates, she has another faith marriage, a faith remarriage, a Muslim faith remarriage to Hersey. I don't know what happened to her Christian marriage, but kids, learn a lesson. Christians bad. Muslim marriages work. They last. So she comes back and she has another faith remarriage in 2012. In fact, it's going so well that in 2014, she's filing her taxes from this house, claiming that Hersey, the first husband, is her legal husband, even though her other husband, the second husband, Elmi, is actually the one she's legally married to. Remember, she's separated and only married in faith at this time. But don't worry, it's not confusing at all for the kids, because at this time she has 3 children. They had 2 children back here. Now they have another one. Oh, 5. No, I'm sorry. He's still living there. 6 companies also.
We have exposed, Stu said to me today, Glenn, I can't take it. And I said, oh, brother, I know. And I said, why? And he said, we've exposed all this stuff over and over and over again. And it's like it never changes. Nobody ever doesn't. It doesn't. Why are we even doing it? And I said, because I think we are making an impact. It's just not. The state is just so corrupt. It's just not making any difference. But I hope it's making a difference in people's understanding in their life. I mean, because it's crazy. It's like having a conversation with a goldfish. Every 5 seconds, I'm saying, yeah, but she was married to her brother. What? No, you just saw the Three Company also thing? Yeah, she was, who? Oh my gosh. Always over and over and over again. Maybe people are starting to wake up. We'll see next year. Back in a minute. Let me tell you about Patriot Mobile. Some companies just sell you cell service, the way a magician does a card trick with one hand, showing you the unlimited data, while the other hand is quietly slipping, into your wallet, taking your money, and then slipping it into the wallet of people you would never support. But every once in a while, you get a glimpse behind the curtain. You'll see where your donations are going and who they're funding, and suddenly it hits you. Wait, I'm paying for what? I'm paying for a worldview that is the exact opposite of what I'm trying to teach my kids at home? Why can't they just get their money from, the government through an NGO the old-fashioned way? This is where Patriot Mobile comes in. Feels like a fresh of breath air. They're not hiding anything. They're America's only Christian conservative mobile provider. You get nationwide coverage, great customer service, and plans that compete with the big guys. But you also get a company that isn't using, your phone and your phone bill as a funding pipeline for, evil. Switching is easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade to a free smartphone. Go to patriotmobile.com/Beck. Call 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Beck. Don't wait. This limited time offer will not last. It's Patriot Mobile/Beck. patriotmobile.com/Beck, 972-PATRIOT. It's Wednesday, the Wednesday night special, the very last one. Trump today oversaw the transfer of the bodies of the slain soldiers from Syria over the weekend. They arrived really dignified, beautiful. I hate the fact that it is the way we greet our soldiers when they come back when they are no longer alive, but it is appropriate and beautiful. The president is also making a speech tonight and outlining all the things that he has done and all the things he's about to do, which is such a coincidence because that's exactly what we're doing. It's like mind meld. 2019, apparently a busy year because we exposed the entire Ukraine scandal years before the mainstream media picked up even a hint of corruption. And surprise, 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 the Democrats had their hands all over it from the very beginning. Watch.
By late 2015, we are the Ukrainian piggy bank. We are giving them all kinds of money, but we're also helping them with advisors. Oh, yes, we are. We are helping them with Greg Craig, the former Obama White House counsel. We have Tad Devine, chief strategist for Bernie Sanders, and Tony Podesta, brother to John Podesta. We also have Mark Penn, the chief strategist for Hillary Clinton. John Alazone, Obama campaign pollster. Another guy, John, the Obama campaign lead pollster. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. When you need help, buddy, all you have to do is phone a friend because all of these people are now working in Ukraine for you. You are our man. I cannot stress enough that the climate in Ukraine is all corrupt at this point. This is the climate that the Russia investigation begins in. Not the official investigation led by Robert Mueller. No. The unofficial investigation launched by none other than the DNC. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Back in the U.S. in late 2015, while all of this is going on, the Democratic Party decides they're going to hire Alexandra Chalupa. Taco Bell, I apologize. The only person that could make a chalupa into a bad thing is her.
I have to say, just a side note before I get into the specifics of that. I think Macy's did a very good likeness. That balloon looked almost like me, right? Am I right? Now, this was the first of 4 massive specials that we did on Ukraine. I know the White House was watching them. One featured the most complex chalkboard I have ever done. This series was also the most watched Glenn TV episode ever done on YouTube. For us, nothing has come close to it. Little did we know how much more we'd be hearing about Ukraine in the very near future. A lot. Isn't it amazing? If you go back, that chalkboard is almost a Rosetta Stone of what is happening in the world today. What is, what happened when we were sending them all the money? If you knew that chalkboard, you knew right where that money was going. Now, you know exactly why. Well, who's going to rebuild them? Oh, BlackRock is going to rebuild them. Really? And who else is profiting on this? Oh, maybe weren't those the guys that were leading the world to say, hey, we're not going to bank with you anymore unless you get out of Russia? Oh, this was like a plan. What concerns me right now, and we'll talk about this on radio if we have time in the next couple of days before we go for the Christmas break, it seems to me like people are gung-ho for war with Ukraine or Russia or somebody. I mean, I don't know if you've been watching what's coming out of England, but everybody seems to want war with Russia. Which brings me to another chalkboard that we did where I put on there that only economic collapse and war are the things left. And one way or another, whichever one comes first will cause the other, but they're both going to happen. Well, there it is. Thank God, Donald Trump is here and hopefully moving us away from that kind of stuff. There's one more thing that we were way ahead of, and that is the lab leak theory. In 2021, we used possibly every chalkboard I could get my hands on to lay this stuff out and some stuffed animals. And I want you to see what we laid out. This is 2021. Watch.
Where clear mismatches occur, we will introduce human-specific cleavage sites. That basically what that means is we're going to take the stuff out of her and we're going to put that human stuff, basically the stuff that's in our lungs, and make humanized lungs in mice. Then we're going to find a lot of bat crap. We're going to find some really crazy, really dangerous virus, and we're going to then introduce it into the mouse to see if the mouse starts to go. That's the mystery. And it was all set to be tested in Wuhan. Dr. Shi, the bat lady, she and Barrick and Peter Daszak all are in this through the entire thing. That is America and China through a corporation that is being funded by who other than Dr. Fauci's NIH. They did gain of function research. They paid for it. Fauci's people paid for it through EcoHealth. 2015, gain of function. There's lie number one.
Has anybody really actually ever, I mean, I know it's out there. I know so many people, but I mean, that was years before anybody was saying any of this stuff. And it was so clear to me. And the chalkboard was so laid out. And, you just have to, at least we do. We look back on some of the shows and we're like, that was divinely inspired. How did we get there? How did that happen? And that one, we had dead to rights, and we were missing critical documents. We could I'm good at connecting dots. That's about probably the only thing I can do is connect dots. And I can connect dots. And in that particular case, we were missing a few things. We now have those. We now have them. The dots are all connected now. There's no speculation on any of that. But again, is anybody going to pay the price? This was my frustration on radio today. There were all these, did you see the FBI disagreed with going in and, breaking down the doors at Mar-a-Lago and doing that search the way they did? Yeah. And why are you telling me this now? I already know that. Is Pam Bondi going to send up a flare for some help and say, hey, look, I've got a subpoena. I've got an indictment. I've got a trial ready to go. Because when you get there on these stories, you let me know. I'm so sick and tired. We all know the truth now. We all know it. Is anybody ever pay the price? Because that's what has to happen in America. And in 2026, my moratorium comes off on the DOJ. I said that I wouldn't say anything because it takes time to build cases, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to see the cases, but we'll start that in January, around the 20th, because where are they? Then also on this program, there was the time right after the 2024 election, I performed a live surgery. Watch.
We talked about how cancer has spread through the entire body, every organ. And the mandate for Trump in this election is for the entire GOP to excise the cancer. And that means we're going to have real surgeons. Don't worry, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor of humanities. And so I know things like this. I know, for instance, this person has no genitalia. Again, half a brain, no genitalia. What's that tell you? As a doctor, liberal. But we need somebody to be able to go in and know what these things do. You know, I think this is the liver and the heart. I mean, look at all the blood in here from the heart. And then we have, don't do this at home. Don't try this at home. We have some onions and some liver, and I'm pretty sure this is the kidney. And this is what makes poop right here, kids. Okay? So we have to take everything out. Oh, here are the kidneys. We have to, and they don't come out.
What the hell is that other thing?
Well, how am I going to show you what the kidneys, because the kidneys actually are the things that purify everything. We have to have surgeons who know exactly what all of this is, so we don't kill the patient. And they're fine. They're absolutely fine.
And that is the GOP in a nutshell. Let me just leave it at that. When we come back, I want to show you why I'm moving on. What's coming up with my new project, Torch, next. First, let me tell you about my Patriot Supply. Christmas gifting gets harder every single year. Most of us don't need another gadget or another sweater or something that gets used once and then forgotten. But giving somebody, a Porsche, you know what I mean? Giving them a Ferrari, now that's a gift. Okay, forget I said that. My Patriot Supply is there, and that's the Ferrari of preparedness. Just saying, they've got a Christmas special right now. When you pick up a 4-week emergency food supply for your own home, they're going to include 2 1-week food kits at no extra cost. So, you get something great for you, and then, throw them a bone. You know what I mean? I don't care if they survive, but I want them to think I can survive. This is actually for something. I want their Ferrari. This is actually something that if you can't get anybody, you probably have people in your family that are never going to be prepared. This helps them a little bit, okay? Let's be clear. Being prepared is not a paranoia. It's a responsibility. And so pick up your responsibility. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn. Grab yours today. This offer is good only around the holiday season. So go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn. mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn.
Somewhere on the Lees River, in the frost of 14, a weary German officer writes home of what he's seen. Gets from home at midnight gingerbread and wood.
This is something I premiered to give you a taste of what's coming next year. One of the things that is coming. This is the story of the Christmas truce. And I put this together because I just bought the Christmas truce letter, the letter to back home from the front line to his wife, that explains exactly what happened. And so I wanted to set it to music, so if I can produce a bunch of these that you like, maybe you'll develop a playlist that you can play with your family and everything else that will help you learn history, help them learn history, and connect with it in a way that only music can connect. This part, connect.
Maybe one brave voice, maybe one small light. On Christmas morning, even enemies can remember they're human for a night. Just for a night.
So
We remember we're human for a night.
I have about 8 of these done, and hopefully we'll have 12 by the end of the year. And you'll be able to see the artifact, read the story, hear the music, and connect with as many of the 5 senses as we possibly can. We're also expanding the museum to where you will be able to have a 3D object. Virtual will be coming in the next year plus. But also all of the artifacts, all of everything we have has been digitally scanned. It will not be up right away, but it will be up. So you're going to be able to have research of original documents in a way that no other library, at least of original documents, has made it the way we've made it. Which brings me to something I've been mocked for, George AI. Here's a little clip of that. George, we have programmed a lot of information and given you a lot of information on what's going on in today's America. Based on your writings and the writings of the rest of the founders, what is it that you feel is the biggest problem or where we should start to fix things?
If I may speak plainly, my countrymen, the greatest danger to our republic.
Okay, now I'm getting a lot of heat on this because he's in a T-shirt. Well, I mean, I don't relate to a guy in a powdered wig. And
okay, I do have 29 points, and they're all referenced to exactly
this. He speaks when you get him raw. He'll just give you the 29 points. He'll give it to you, and he'll give it to you in their language, and you don't understand it. So, but he can dumb it down to your level of understanding, and then he sounds more like this.
If I'm honest, America's biggest problem isn't political or economic. It's all moral. You've drifted from the virtues that make liberty possible in the first place. Freedom. To be free,
now,
you have to have discipline.
Here's what I've been hammered with recently, and that is that Glenn Beck has just made a George AI and told it what to say, and it sounds just like him. No, after that charge was made, I said, go into George AI, ask if it knows who Glenn Beck is, ask if it knows, what progressivism is, George Soros, the United Nations, Fox News, CNN. Ask him all of these questions. Does he even have any clue as to what those are? No. Why? Because we're doing AI the way it should be done. At least that's the way we feel now. It is completely electric fenced off. It must memorize all of the documents, and it's only the documents that are from them. I mean, I just asked today, there's a 30-book series of just George Washington's writings. Where are we on getting that in? It's only them. So if it sounds like me, well, maybe I sound like him because it doesn't know who I am. It's not any of my words. That will be Glenn AI. And we'll talk about that next year. We have so much coming. And that's one of the reasons why I couldn't promise that I would do a show every Wednesday. This takes an awful lot of effort. And I am working on so many different things. But I think you are going to be excited. In fact, let me premiere tonight our first preview of what you will see at glennbeck.com and Torch what I will be producing next year starting January 5th. Watch.
Buckle up. Are you ready?
Forget the dates, forget the names, forget all of it. What's the story?
We're not looking at civil war. We're looking at a feast.
Yes, I never take it, never gonna have to say you by my side. Just like the Queen of Soul, I say a little prayer, and on out comes the side.
What is it that you feel is the biggest problem, or where we should start to fix things?
America's biggest problem isn't political or economic. It's all moral.
They have no idea that in Lexington, a war against the most powerful empire on earth has just begun. What do capital controls mean? They are the sound of a nation realizing the show is over.
Roger.
Roger Love, man.
I'm so glad that we're meeting.
He may have been America's first superhero.
Yeah, she's my muse.
And this is why I wanted to do this tutorial.
Join us.
I can't tell you how excited I am. We have been working our brains out. We launch with all of those on January 5th, and many of them are 10 episodes each. There's going to be a lot for you to feast on. Personal note, Roger Love, I'm so excited for that particular piece, because part of my goal is to uplift and show you there's a better way to do all of these things. Education and inspire. That is 2026. I'll see you tomorrow, as always, on the national radio program and Blaze TV, and more to come. But for the last time on Glenn TV from Florida, good night, America.